A man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Clinton. Why officers say they fired at the suspect and what's next in the investigation.
Plus, Eric Boyd found guilty in the murders of Shannon Christian and Chris-Newsom. The relief from the victims' families and how long Boyd could spend behind bars.
And just a little bit of fog across the Cumberland Plateau. A better day today when we're talking weather. We're going to break it down for you coming up in just a minute.
And a busy intersection could soon see big changes. How leaders want to improve safety at Hall of Fame Drive and Broadway, and how you can help. Today, August 14th, 2019.
10 News is brought to you in high definition exclusively by Harper Auto Square. WBIR 10 News starts now.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us, everybody. We're glad you're here on a not-so-hot Wednesday. I'm Abby Ham.
And I'm Russell Biven. I'll wait till Mike Witcher confirms that.
Not as hot.
See?
I know, not
In
so
Abby's
hot.
world, it's still going to be hot.
Well, yeah, it's always hot if it's not 75.
Well, when you're sitting next to us, I don't blame you. Hey,
Hey-o!
601. Right, Biv? Let's get you out the door here this morning. All right, checking the forecast here and a live look on Alcoa Highway. Of course, volume's going to pick up, and we're going to be talking to Ed Rupp here in just a moment. Your morning commute forecast between 7 to 9. Temperatures will warm from the low 70s into the mid 70s under partly to mostly cloudy skies. The clouds will break some and a chance for a stray shower today, but lower humidity is on the way. I'm going to wrap up that forecast for you coming up in just a bit. Right now, though, let's go ahead and talk to Ed Rupp. Get to check that morning rush hour. Hey, buddy.
Hey guys, good morning. Happy hump day. Interstate traffic off to a great start on this Wednesday. Nothing going on 75, 40, 640 as you circle around the city. Good shape coming in Alcoa Highway, Pellissippi Parkway. We are wreck-free to start the day, and we will keep you updated in the 10 News Traffic Center. Guys, happy hump day.
Happy hump day to you, Ed. Thank you.
Breaking news this morning at 6:01. One person is dead after a crash on Wares Valley Road. Sevier County Dispatch says the driver crashed into a utility pole around 2:30 this morning and died at the scene. Authorities have not released the victim's name. The accident has been cleared. The TBI is investigating an officer-involved shooting that left one man dead in Anderson County.
It happened last night on West Broad Street in Clinton. WBIR 10 News anchor Heather Wallaga joins us with the very latest from the newsroom. Heather?
Russell and Abby, the TBI says the man shot and killed by law enforcement was suicidal and pointed a gun at the officers. Several departments, including Clinton Police and the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, responded to calls last night of a suicidal man with a gun. The TBI says he was in the street making threats, and officers tried to convince him to put down his weapon. He was then shot and killed after a 15 to 20-minute standoff when officers say the man pointed his gun at them. No officers were hurt.
This is a horrible incident. You know, we all regret that. The public doesn't want to see that. Law enforcement doesn't want to see that. But when 911 calls come in, these are the folks that have to respond and deal with those situations. And unfortunately, tonight that resulted in a fatality.
The TBI is now taking the lead in the investigation. Agents will share their findings with the Anderson County District Attorney General, who will then decide if any charges will be filed in the case. Authorities haven't yet identified the man killed. Of course, we expect a more detailed report in the coming week, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on this story. Abby?
All right, Heather, thank you. Today, the West Tennessee inmate accused of murdering a prison employee and then escaping is expected in court. Curtis Watson is scheduled to be arraigned in Lauderdale County. He's accused of leaving his prison work detail and brutally raping and killing Corrections Administrator Deborah Johnson. The TBI captured Watson Sunday after a 3-day manhunt. We are also learning more about the reward money for tips that led to Watson's capture and why the inmate with a violent history was allowed to be on work release in the first place. That is coming up in our next half hour.
Meanwhile, Eric Boyd will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. A Knox County jury found him guilty on all charges. He's been sentenced to life with the possibility of parole for the murders of Shannon Christian and Chris-Newsom. The couple was carjacked, kidnapped, robbed, raped, and murdered in 2007.
It's a verdict the families of the victims have wanted for more than 12 years. WBIR 10 News reporter Cole Sullivan was in the courtroom as the verdict was read. Good morning, Cole.
Good morning. This morning, the families of Chris-Newsom and Shannon Christian are waking up knowing the final suspect in their kids' murders may never walk the streets again.
Guilty.
That's the moment Hugh Newsom has been waiting for more than a decade.
And I can go to my grave now, satisfied that I fought a good fight.
Eric Boyd will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars for the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Shannon Christian and Chris Newsom.
He's been getting away with murder for way too long, so I'm very happy.
He'll be eligible for parole in 51 years when he's in his late 90s. Now both families are celebrating justice and remembering their murdered kids. Shannon, 21, a senior at UT whose friends say her smile lit up the room. And Chris, 23, a standout Halls High School baseball player who loved the outdoors and Notre Dame football.
My God, he's got peace now, but not in this world. But he's got peace.
Boyd will be sentenced on the rape, kidnapping, and robbery charges in mid-September. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Cole. The testimony of convicted killer George Thomas was a key part of the case for the state against Boyd. Thomas was one of 4 people already convicted of state charges in a case tied to the deaths of Shannon and Chris. Before his testimony, the earliest he could leave prison was 2064 when he was 81. Now prosecutors cut his sentence to 50 years, meaning Thomas could get out in his mid-60s. Online now, you can find the full list of the counts and the jury verdict. We also break down the developments on each day of the trial. You can learn more about the case and the events leading up to it with our podcast. That's on the WBIR app.
Well, Governor Bill Lee says he will not intervene in Stephen West's execution. West is set to be executed tomorrow for the 1986 murders of 15-year-old Sheila Romines and her mother, 51-year-old Wanda Romines. Governor Lee says he reviewed West's request for clemency and decided not to intervene. West is currently on death watch. He is set to die by lethal injection tomorrow at the Riverbend National Security Institution in Nashville.
A Fentress County hospital being denied re-entry to the Medicare and Medicaid programs this morning. The federal government pulled funding for Medicare and TennCare patients at the Jamestown Hospital in June. The hospital is owned by Renova. It also closed in June. Now, if the hospital reopens, it will not be allowed to bill the government for patients. The hospital is facing a $400,000 federal lien for not paying certain taxes. In Monroe County, officials say 911 and emergency services are back up and running this morning after an issue with phone lines last night. The director says calls were redirected to McMinn County 911 during the outage, and dispatchers were using their personal cell phones to make sure no calls went unanswered. No word yet on what caused the issue, but this is the second time this week 911 services have been affected in East Tennessee. Monday morning, AT&T said landline callers in multiple counties couldn't get through to 911. That issue was resolved later in the afternoon.
Well, Recode Knoxville is moving forward after another vote. City leaders passed the plan to rezone the city on its second reading. It takes effect January 1st of next year. There could still be amendments to the plan, but this is Knoxville's first zoning overhaul in more than 50 years. Well, today the city of Knoxville wants your input on plans to change the intersection of Hall of Fame and North Broadway.
WBIR 10 News reporter Yvonne Thomas is live in studio with more on how to improve traffic at this busy intersection. They definitely need an option to turn left onto Broadway. Yeah. We know that.
Yes, we do.
Abby Russell, good morning. And that's something that city leaders plan to work on. And in 2020, they hope to complete a study that will give more options of how this intersection could look and could work, because this is a very busy corridor. But even with those changes, city leaders say that they don't want to limit capacity through the area. Now, this project would include the Hall of Fame Drive and Broadway intersection up to Cecil Avenue. City engineers say that this intersection originally wasn't designed to get everyone where they needed to go. The Broadway Hall of Fame intersection is an issue for drivers and have been for some time. City of Knoxville engineer John Levingood says leaders have observed drivers making illegal turns and maneuvers because there is no way for them to cross over. Knoxville resident Christina Gearman is a driver that is hoping for change.
If there was an easy way to kind of either put up new signs or change the intersection, that would certainly, I think, make life easier.
Now leaders want to hear from you, and they're looking forward to ideas. You can share your thoughts and opinions tonight at an open house. That input meeting starts at about 6:30 p.m. at St. James Episcopal Church. And we'll, of course, be sure to keep you updated on the city's plans for changes in this area as that project moves forward. Back to you.
All right, Yvonne, thank you.
Time now 6:09. Still to come on 10 News today, a dangerous prank growing in popularity with the Fortnite world champion becoming the latest victim. Why police are warning people about swatting today.
And it is the first day of school. We're taking those lips off that calendar. Mwah! Getting ready to start off this big school year at Seymour Primary. We're going to have much more coming up in just a little bit. We'll send it back to you.
And we're talking about lower dew points here over the next couple of days. So while it's been extremely hot and muggy And we'll still be a little bit on the muggy side today. Thursday, Friday, into the weekend. It's going to be a lot more comfortable. Much more on your 7-day forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Stay with us.